Hello everyone and welcome back to Dragalia Foundry. For today's video, I'm going to be showing you my second promotion in the game, as well as some more gameplay of Resplendent Refrain, including my first Deathless and timed clears of the special battle. I know a lot of you have been looking forward to my squad showcase video, reviewing your light teams, and I ask that you wait just a little bit longer on that. I did get 30 submissions on Twitter, so that video is about an hour long right now, and I need to edit it down to just the essentials, so it's a little bit easier to digest. But for today, we're starting off with a promotion, and to give you some context, I've been training up to face High Midgard Stormer. You'll know that if you're on the Discord, or if you watched my grinding video last week, but that's one of the final things I've yet to do in the base game. So I've been building up this Naveed, and attempted High Midgard Stormer a couple of times now. He's pretty much ready to go. However, I've found that the preparation in terms of material is really just half of the battle. It's actually very challenging. The battle itself is very demanding and punishing, especially for someone who lacks stun res and is close range like Naveed or Ezla. So I have a feeling it's going to take me a while before I take it down, but because I crafted a 5-star elemental flame sword for Naveed, I thought that I might as well go ahead and promote Udin. Now, Udin is also viable for High Midgard Stormer, but his stats need a little bit more compensation than Naveed's do. He's a bit weaker, and his HP and lack of a defense buff make him harder to survive the initial hit. However, I still have a ways to go in my Flame Altars. I have about 3 levels on each, and my Sword Dojos are just at 16, so I'm happy to have Udin as an option eventually. But the real reason I want to promote him is, now that I'm over level 100, leveling up takes some time, and Udin gives you 15% player EXP within the 5th ring of his mana circle once promoted. So that's a bump up of 5 percentage points over the base 10%. And yeah, there we go. Udin is promoted, that's unlocked. So now we're going to move on to some gameplay of Resplendent Refrain. Like I said, showing you my first Deathless and title clears. And while that plays, I'll talk a little bit more about the freebies that we get with Resplendent Refrain, my thoughts on them, are they good, are they viable outside this raid? So first of all, the new worm prints as the snow falls. It's got some really pretty artwork with a snowman, with Pia and Mr. Mouse and Elias, and that worm print provides curse res and last recovery. So last recovery is a pretty cool ability. It's an uncommon one that grants you some health regen when you're at a low enough HP. I like that aspect of the worm print. That's an uncommon ability, like I said. It can be really nice to get you back into a fight when you're down on your last legs. But unfortunately, I think combined with the smaller amount of curse res, this worm print doesn't have a lot of applications, and because they took away raid bane abilities on these worm prints, even for the raid itself, I can't really recommend this unless you lack a lot of other options. Now, besides that, we also got the free dragon Maritimus, and Maritimus has to be one of my favorite dragon designs in the game. It's this adorable snowball yeti, and it's a shadow dragon whose skill inflicts freeze, which is very cool to see some cross-element ailments there. I do think Maritimus is good, like all of the 5-star free dragons, and especially the ones who dabble into strength. That's why I would probably say Pele is still the best, followed by Maritimus and then Sylvia. The applications of HP are just a bit more narrow in general, especially as in this game, a lot of the content, like this timed clear coming up, well, has the time limit involved, so you want that strength. But overall, I do think if you lack Nidhogg, or if you lack a 4-star Silk in the Shadow Pool, this Maritimus is going to be nice. Even if you have those, this could be your 3rd or 4th dragon on a pure Shadow team. So I do think it's worth trying to max Unbind during the event. As well as from a collection standpoint, I think that we'll probably get some reruns of these eventually, but for now, it's really cool to have them. And just to note, like always, you get 4 copies of Maritimus from the Blazon summons, and 1 copy from the Silver Emblems. Now, after that, we get into Elias, and I'll consider making an Adventure Spotlight video on Elias once I get into the 4 stars. I did cover Melsa and Celiera more in depth, but I think Elias, it'll suffice to do this video for now, especially since the raid is already well underway. but Elias is a defense type light archer, the 4th light archer in the game after Ron, Malara, and Luca. There are also 5 light healers and 4 wind archers, so it's among the most populated types of unit. And Elias, being a defense type, has more HP than strength. Elias's first skill is a straight line light attack. Not bad, it's good for archers. A lot of archers have a skill like this. And his second skill increases the energy levels of everyone on the team, and it charges fairly quickly. So I think in the context of the raid, that skill is actually pretty good. The raid battles usually last long enough until you've geared up your team significantly, or unless you're playing with a very powerful team that has a lot of strength and a lot of powerful teammates. I think they'll last long enough that that will become relevant, so you might be able to energize one skill in a raid battle. However, in general, I don't love this energy mechanic in isolation. I do think you want to bring along Lucretia for it to be at its maximum, or maybe some other stronger adventurers who come out in the future. So for that reason, I'm not too crazy about Elias. Now for the raid, Elias does have an ability that's going to increase damage to the raid boss, basically a Demon Bane ability. So that is good, and that does mean that to round out your team, Elias will be on par with Luca, if not a little bit better if you invest enough into him. That said, Elias also only gets curse res up to 50%. That's pretty common on these free units. Luca also only has curse res up to 50%. And Celiera and Melsa only had 50% of their respective res. So that's a little bit unfortunate. Some 4-star units like Udin and Ronzel do have their respective ailment res up to 100%, but Elias does not, so it is something to consider. You may want to slap some more curse res on him with a worm print, like the free worm print from the event. Overall, I don't really recommend investing too heavily into Elias, at least for now. Right now, energy is a pretty narrow mechanic. That said, if you do decide to promote Elias to 5-star, he gains access to a 3rd ability, Last Offense, which I don't really see playing super well in Elias's kit. As a ranged unit, you'll want to try to avoid damage as much as you can, and when you're on your last legs and getting swarmed potentially, that's kind of the worst case scenario for a bow unit to be in because it's hard to use Force Strikes to get out of that. Maybe you have a dragon transformation ready and you can use that Last Offense as a dragon, but overall I don't really recommend investing too heavily into Elias. I think he's a fine role player during the raid. And here we go, we're wrapping up these EX battles. So thank you so much for watching. The link to the Gleam giveaway is in the description below, and that's going to close at the end of the day tomorrow. So if you haven't already participated in that, go ahead and follow that link and take part. Otherwise, I'll be back tomorrow with my squad showcase video. Hope you enjoyed this commentary on the freebies that you get in this raid. I definitely think it's worth playing, and I'm grinding it out fairly slowly because you have to do dailies anyway. So I'm planning on completing this by the last day of the event. I'm also all aboard this Dowco theory now to give you an update on my predictions. If you haven't seen it, I'll link to the Reddit post in the description below. But basically, the primary musical artist for this game, Dowco, has a new album dropping right when this showcase and this event ends. So there's a lot of speculation, there's even art, and there's a Twitter question she asked about what type of adventurer she should be. I do think that probably means that she'll be coming to the game right after this showcase ends. I'm really looking forward to that, but we'll have to wait and see how it pans out. Until then, thank you so much for watching everyone, and I'll see you next time.